It's now time for our first of two senior Rotax finals. So the finals get lengthened for the seniors, DD2 and DD2 Masters. 14 minutes plus an additional lap. Let's have a look at the starting grid. Callum Bradshaw and Sean Butcher making an all-British front row after intermediate classification yesterday. Luca Lystra and Zsombor Kovac, that is row 2. Lewis Gilbert and Elliot Galvanin, row 3. Linus Henson and Lachlan Robinson, row 4. Running out the top 10, it's Mark Kimber and Tobias Poschik. Oscar Pellemele and Andrei Petrovic, that is row 6. Ahead of row 7, which is Felix Jansson and Zabogs Lantos. Ethan Farhamond and Benedek Vida, that's row 8, with Tom Bilou, Ehad Turker, Luna Blum and Julien Baudet-Collarhoff running out the top 20. Zino Kovac, Teddy Clinton, Bende Zabo, Nick Cuppens, Enzo Cadahas, Alexander Abkazava, Patrick Donica, Christian de Klein, Theo Eriksson, Simon Gaspard round out the top 30. And qualifying through the second chance heat earlier on this morning, Arvid Rosen, Artur Horsch, Patrick Slokmelis, Mario Sidler, Noah Hip and Italy's Matteo Pianezzola. So now we have a bit more action and intensity to come our way here in Adria for the first of two finals. The first finals will set the grid for the second finals a bit later on. And you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to be in for one hell of a race day. So it's down to Bradshaw and Butcher to start proceedings, as they will now bring them through into the final corner ahead of the red lights on the starting gantry going out. 36 drivers, 18 rows. Are we ready? Are we steady? Revs up, rise, lights are out, they're off and racing, and Bradshaw gets the whole shot, gets into the first corner first. Looks like Lystra has gone through with him. And you've also got a few drivers, it's 3 abreast at some points towards the bottom part of the top 20 going through turn 2 for the first time, but all making it safely through thus far into turn 5. And there's been some karts running wide, so I think I spoke a bit too soon, a bit of the commentator's curse there. But in Senior Rotax, things are rather highly charged, and here in Senior Rotax, it is no exception. But Bradshaw leading. Butcher has just managed to get back past Luca Lystra. Lewis Gilbert rounds out the top 4 ahead of Linus Henson. And that could be, more than likely, the Mark Kimbers ahead of Lachlan Robinson as they come across the strike for the first time. So Bradshaw leads from Butcher. It's going to be Lystra, Gilbert, Henson, Zsombor Kovac, Lachlan Robinson up a position. From 8th to 7th ahead of Elliot Galvanin, Tobias Poschik and Oscar Pellemele round out the top 10. Mark Kimber down in 11th position, having started in 9th. And oh, Gilbert's got a problem. Lewis Gilbert has suffered dramas, and he was running in P4, and he has had an absolute mare. There was one, and there's been there's a kart incident there as well. That is the 318 of Matteo Pianezzola, and the other kart itself there, there was the 361 of Simon Gaspard was also involved there too. The other one, the 382, that is of Patrick Donica from Poland. So we have got dramas. Lachlan Robinson, in the meantime, has got himself up into P5 behind Zsombor Kovac, as Sean Butcher trying to look to get past Luca Lystra. Lystra got past the Australian based out of London, and Robinson now being challenged by Elliot Galvanin. Galvanin's got through on the Emirati based out of Dubai. But now it's all kicking off because Zsombor Kovac is steamrolling his way up the inside of Sean Butcher. Galvanin waiting for his opportunity to get through. But Callum Bradshaw has hit the front. And I did say yesterday that Bradshaw had something in reserve. Dramas for Lewis Gilbert. Patrick Slokmelis from KSB Racing is down at the bottom of the timesheets. We've had multiple karts out. Donica, Decline, Gaspar, Pianezzola. I'm wondering if Lewis Gilbert has managed to get his kart running again. And he's had a bit of a mare, unfortunately, as Lewis Gilbert, starting on the inside of row number 3. But you can see here, this is an absolute free-for-all at the front of the field, and there's multiple carts. Linus Henson has closed up to Lachlan Robinson, and with him is coming Austria's Tobias Poschek. Oscar Pellemele. Kimber's started to resurge again. The Brit now up into P10. But now this is where the real mind games start. You start getting a train, and now it's the Zombor Kovac train, not the Sean Butcher train, because Butcher is the one waiting to be released, and he's got the likes of Elia Galvanin, Lachlan Robinson, Linus Henson, Tobias Poschek. Someone went a bit sideways coming out of the final corner there. I think it might have been Lachlan Robinson. But you can see here that Callum Bradshaw is still ahead of Luca Lystra. And at the moment, the way things stand, Callum Bradshaw will make his way up into the provisional points lead with 65 points at the moment. And I'm just trying to remember, well, Mark Kimber at the minute, he is running in 9th place and has just managed to get past Oscar Pellemele from France, so the French driver down in 10th position. As there is Kimber, that's up the inside of Tobias Poschek. So now Kimber gets himself up into 8th position behind Germany's Linus Henson. But the two leaders aren't getting away. Luca Lystra set the fastest lap of anybody on the previous tour. Lap 4, we're about to complete lap 5. That's a 50.610 from the Belgian with Bouvin power. And the gap between him and Bradshaw now goes down to 0.266. Kovac, Butcher, Galvanin, Robinson, Henson, Kimber, Poschek and Pellemele. And there's the move from Luca Lystra to get up the inside of Callum Bradshaw. Now the fight in senior Rotax truly begins. And this is where things are going to get rather tricky, because we have seen that some have tripped over each other in the initial foray. And at the moment we have 5 retirements. So Patrick Donica, Christian Decline, Simon Gaspard, Matteo Pianizola and Patrick Slockmelis. Slockmelis didn't even take the start on all accounts. Lewis Gilbert is back up to speed and running in the 50.5s. So expect the Dual-Ride Diamond to start making his way through the field. 8 minutes and 52 seconds. Plus an additional lap still to go in this race. And Luca Lystra has started pushing to get away from Callum Bradshaw, but Bradshaw's not having any of it, and now this has allowed Zombor Kovac to bring the fight to them. Just wait for those behind who want to get an opportunity, because you've got the likes of Elia Galvan and Sean Butcher, and it looks like there's been a change for 5th place. Now, as Robinson got past Butcher, because it looks like Galvanin is in P4, that is the case. It is confirmed that Robinson has got past teammate Butcher, and there is the 3:19 that has just gone off the track. And that is, unfortunately, the Netherlands' Luna Blum. But now the fight really begins. Who wants it bad enough to get to the lead of the standings and maybe even hit the top step this very afternoon? Well, Bradshaw leads the field across the line, followed by Lystra, Galvanin, Kovac, Robinson, Butcher, Kimber, Henson, Pellemele. And now you add to that mix Felix Jan, is that Felix? Yeah, Felix Jansson now into P10. So the Swede doing a great job resurging through the field. But now Galvanin sizing up a move on... Oh, that's a great move from Robinson. Robinson's got his elbows out, and that gives the opportunity for not just him to get past Elia Galvanin, but Sean Butcher gets there too as well. Great work by the Dubai-based driver. 3rd in last year's standings after all 3 rounds have been completed, and currently 3rd in the points table so far. But good work by Robinson and Butcher to literally steamroll their way past. But coming with them, watch out, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Kimber has entered the ring and he's about to do some damage. And it could be some significant damage very, very soon indeed. So, the top 6 covered by just 1.96 seconds with 7 minutes to go. Halfway down, halfway to go. So, a 14-minute lap, 14-minute plus an additional lap race here in Adria. And it has been an absolute beauty so far, and there's still plenty more to come. Now, the big question is, can Robinson, Butcher, Kimber and Galvanin start ramping up the pace? Because I'm just seeing that Lachlan Robinson slightly slower than nearly a 10th and a half on account of his teammate. Luca Lystra is running in the nearly the 50.6s. And in the meantime, what has also happened is that there has been a change. Sean Butcher has just been passed by Mark Kimber. Robinson's managed to get a little bit further away from the 3:57 and now sees a little bit of daylight, but now will start to try and catch Zsombor Kovac in third position. This is where these drivers will have to push like crazy. They may be hurting from yesterday. They may be smarting with slight bumps and bruises, maybe a little bit of sore ribs, but that's part and parcel of it. Lachlan Robinson has just put in a fastest lap of his race, which is a 50.6. Callum Bradshaw 50.405, and is starting to try and pull away from Luca Lystra. Zsombor Kovac is keeping himself in the hunt for the top three. Robinson in fourth. So effectively 25 points for a win, 20 for second, 16 for third, 13 for fourth place, and then 11 for fifth. But now Kimber's got the whole shot, trying to get past Lachlan Robinson. Just behind is Elia Galvanin as Sean Butcher has dropped down into seventh position. Linus Henson in eighth, Oscar Pellemele and Felix Jansson. And there is a move from Mark Kimber to get past Lachlan Robinson, but into the next right-hander. Kimber cuts the door off nice and cleanly, but Robinson manages to shut the door in the direction of Elia Galvanin, who's now got Sean Butcher breathing all down the back of his race overalls right now, and it's not going to be easy. So Tobias Poschek has also retired, unfortunately, on lap number 7. Bened Szabo from Hungary has also pulled the car into the pit lane on lap number 9. We are down to 29 out of 36 competitors with 4.5 minutes remaining. Callum Bradshaw looking to move forward away from the rest of the opposition, and he's doing so comfortably. He's slightly quicker by half a tenth, as now there's a move from Elia Galvanin up the inside of Lachlan Robinson. There's Sean Butcher alongside the 326, but Robinson back up the inside of Galvanin. That nearly opens the door up for Sean Butcher, and here comes Linus Henson. And then just behind them is Oscar Pellemele, Felix Jansson, also Lantos from Hungary, and Faramond. They're also closing. And when I look at this, the top 17, which is rounded out by Enzo Caldajas from France, covered by 8.5 seconds after what has been over 10 minutes of racing so far. So good on the drivers out there to keep up this pace with these weather conditions definitely being rather testing. 22 degrees air temperature, and it looks like we're going to hit a high of 23. An easterly wind of around 9 kilometres an hour, as there's a little bit of bump drafting there by Elia Galvanin to unsettle Lachlan Robinson, but Robinson says no you don't, and that now opens up the floodgates. Butcher's now got past Robinson, Henson has got past, Robinson's got past, Galvanin has dropped down to the bottom of that train after that little bit of touching with Lachlan Robinson and trying to come out of turn 5. So Galvanin on the back foot now starts retaliating, but then runs a little bit wide coming out of the final hairpin, and that has now allowed quite a few other drivers to get past. So that means that Sean Butcher ends up in 5th position, Lachlan Robinson is 6th, fractionally ahead of Linus Henson. Galvanin actually stayed in 8th position, but there was one driver that definitely dropped down a little bit further. That was Ethan Fahamon from France. So that just goes to show that the minute that an incident, a little bit of contact happens between two drivers, that can open the proverbial floodgates. And now there's more moves up the order, as some are going side by side through turn 5. And this is where things get racy, ladies and gentlemen. This is where these drivers push themselves to the absolute limit and then beyond. We've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds plus an additional lap on the clock to go. So we have now 7 retirements, 29 drivers rounded out by Mario Sidler, still racing as the battle wages on. 2 minutes to go plus an additional lap. Callum Bradshaw leads by just over 7/10 of a second from Luca Lystra. Zsombor Kovac in 3rd. Mark Kimber, Sean Butcher, Lachlan Robinson, Linus Henson, Elia Galvanin, Felix Jansson, Oscar Pellemele in 10th place ahead of Lantos in 11th, Petrovic in 12th position. Well, actually make that 12th position to Hungary's Benedek Vida, who's just overtaken the number 320 in the process. And there is a move by, that is Oscar Pellemele on Felix Jansson for 9th place. But now the KR Sport Giro of Sean Butcher and Lachlan Robinson have started getting away from the train behind, which is currently being led by Linus Henson from Germany. And you've got Elia Galvanin, Oscar Pellemele, amongst others, as now they come across the line. Just over a minute to go, and still Bradshaw has waited, bided his time. There is Elia Galvanin and also Linus Henson. So Galvanin up into P7 with Lachlan Robertson a little bit further ahead of the duo thereof. But you can see now that Zsombor Kovac is trying to close in on Luka Lystra, who is 7.5 tenths of a second behind, or just over 7.5 tenths of a second behind Callum Bradshaw, who decided when he needed to go for it, he went for it and pushed hard. And that is the key point here. That's how you win races. That's how you become a world title. And that is why Callum Bradshaw is a welcome addition to this championship. He has not put a foot wrong. He's made sure that he's done exactly what he needed to do and waited until the opportunity presented itself. And that is exactly what he has done this weekend. Now he's 8 tenths ahead of Lystra. So, timer has hit 0 in the first of 2 senior Rotax finals. Callum Bradshaw on the verge of taking the last lap board for the first time today, with a consummate gap over Belgium's Luka Lystra. Zsombor Kovac from Hungary rounds out the top 3. Elia Galvanin has got past Linus Henson in the meantime. Ehad Turka has got past France's Ethan Fahamon for 14th place. But this time around, final lap board is out. So Callum Bradshaw goes on to the circuit for what will be the 18th and final time in this race. Which will make it nearly 23.5 kilometres of racing. But Bradshaw's not put a foot wrong. Zsombor Kovac trying to hurry up and get close to the 356 of Boobin Power's youngster from Belgium, Luka Lystra. But it's not going to be enough because they're about to come through the final couple of corners into the left-hand kink. And it's now going to be a pretty good win for Great Britain's Callum Bradshaw. 3 different nationalities in the top 3, courtesy of Luka Lystra and Zsombor Kovac from Belgium and Hungary, respectively. Mark Kimber rounds out the top 4 ahead of Sean Butcher and Lachlan Robinson. Elia Galvanin would get the better of Linus Henson and pit the German by over a second at the finish line to take 7th position. Oscar Pellemele takes 9th ahead of Felix Jansson from Sweden. Benedek Vida from Hungary with Zalbog's Lantos rounding out the top 12. Andrei Petrovic, Ehad Turka and France's Enzo Caldejas rounds out the top 15, who provisionally score points. Tom Bilou in 16th ahead of Ethan Faramond, Zino Kovac, Teddy Clinton and Georgia's Alexander Abkazava, who rounds out the top 20. Completing the 29 that finished the race was Noah Hipp, Atul Hosh, Julien Baudet-Kolarhoff. Lewis Gilbert recovered to finish in 24th position, ahead of Arvid Rosen, Theo Eriksson, Nick Cuppens, Luna Blom and Mario Sidler. And unfortunately, we had retirements from Bendis Sabo, Tobias Poschik, Patrick Donica, Christian de Klein, Simon Gaspar, Matteo Pianizzola and Patrick Slokmelis.